some other groups as well. But there are certain, like majority of the other groups would have entire development offices outside of US.
Okay.
Okay, then one last question is, when you see HPE, how much agile the organization is in terms of the software development model?
So I would say it's fairly, almost entire organization is leveraging Agile as DLC.
Yes.
Some of it is also using scaled Agile, there's a fair degree of diversity in terms of kind of Agile paradigms that they've been using. But I'm not going to say, there is a difference in terms of how efficient they are in their following of Agile development process across different development groups. It's not completely uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Some groups are better at it than others.
Sure.
I would say scale Agile teams are typically, they do better because, and also I'm going to say it's also a function of how distributed the team actually is, which ends up being one of the elements that feeds into this.
So I'm assuming at some point, right, HP, the development was more of like a waterfall type process and then eventually transitioned to Agile. And it sounds like they're overall like fairly mature in Agile now, but when did that transition occur? When was Agile implemented?
It happened over a period of time, actually. I think HP is a very big organization. We're talking about upwards of 40. At a certain point, we're talking about upwards of 40,000 engineers.
Mm-hmm.
It has since scaled down to a smaller group. I think, at least as far as I'm familiar with, there was a focused effort towards an Agile as DLC starting from 2007. At least the earliest I can remember, where when you started to put feet on the ground and making this transformation possible. Some teams were still going through that, still pivoting towards that as late as 2013 or 2014. I remember doing Agile development roadshows we would do internal evangelizing and go to different development teams and showcase how they could actually make the transformation. So it happened, I think I'm going to say, over a period of 8 years or 10 years. But that's a function of how big the development group was. And I think each individual team, each individual product group would probably make that transformation over a period of a release cycle, typically 6 to 9 months. And it would be basically about biting the bullet. You'd have to make sure that there was a strong organizational will to make that happen, that the development team will be bought in, and go through the whole enablement and the pivot towards this Agile process.
So it sounds like there was an enterprise-wide effort to transition to Agile, but then the actual execution implementation was rolled out in phases across the different product groups. Does it sound about right?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I will say that HP never really had a single engineering team. We always had business groups. Within business groups, you would have product groups, and products would have engineering teams. So there was never one engineering leader who would say, okay, let's go move to Agile. It was a slow percolation as the business groups eventually realized that the teams that were Agile were getting better results. So the business leaders would talk to one another, and the business leader would then would drive Agile for their own organization as well. That's the way it percolated within the HPE organization. I would imagine it would be different if it was a single engineering leader out there and the organization was functional in nature and not from business silos perspective of sorts.
So, it depends on the organization, right? But some organizations will have like a centralized